Hello, I'm Suz Entzeroth, the host of Cup of St. Joe, a podcast where we explore the faith stories and personal witness of the St. Joe's Catawba Parish. Today's episode, I'll be interviewing Father Martin, and I can't wait for you guys to hear it. So grab a cup of coffee and enjoy. Super excited about this. You've been at the parish for about a year and a half, you said. And this is just to kind of have us as the parish get to know you, go back into time and see what you were like as a kid, and
For sure.
yeah, just see who you really are.
Thanks.
But I always like to start off with an icebreaker question.
Okay.
So the question is, if you were on a desert island and you had 3 things you could bring with you,
Oh, wow.
okay, what would you bring? And then why would you bring it?
Well, a good copy of the Bible so that I have the Word of God.
Maybe laminated in case it gets wet.
Well, actually, I think I would do a Roman Missal, bread, and wine.
Really?
I think that's what I would bring.
So those 3 things.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
no like fire starter or
We can figure that all out.
yeah, I figured out that. You can do it without it. You've seen
Yeah.
Castaway, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So-
Awesome. All right, so we're just going to start from the beginning and tell us, how you grew up, what your family life was like, siblings, where were you
Yeah,
from, and
for sure. Yeah. Thanks so much for organizing this and
Oh, yeah.
making it possible. I was born locally, so I was here. I grew up in St. Louis. I'm one of 7. My parents had 7 children, and I'm number 5. So I have
Okay.
4 older siblings, 2 younger. My dad was one of 5 boys, and my mom was one of 2 girls. And then when they got married, they had 5 boys and 2 girls. So
wow,
it's just kind of funny how it all
the
worked out.
irony. Yeah.
But way back in the day, both sides of my family are from St. Louis, like North City. But my parents both grew up in Northeast Ohio, and then after school, they moved back to St. Louis for work. And then they started in Bridgeton at St. Mary's. That was their parish for a number of years. And then they moved to Town and Country, so kind of St. Anselm Parish.
Mhm.
St. Mary's is a runway now, so it's no longer there. But St. Anselm's Parish is still there off of Mason Road. It's where the monks from St. Louis Abbey take care of that parish. They also take care of Priory School. And then for a number of years during my childhood and adolescence, the monks had another community there called the Oratory of Saints Gregory and Augustine. And it was a apostolate for the traditional Latin Mass and sacraments. And it was just 4 minutes from our house. And so my parents loved taking us there. And so that was from like 2007 to 2017.
So you actually listened to Latin Mass when you would go?
Yeah, growing
Oh,
up,
that's
that
awesome.
was just like very familiar and normal. And I'm so grateful for that because, the more we learn about the history of the Mass, the more it just comes alive when we go to Mass and are a part of that.
Do you speak Latin?
sacrament. I don't speak it, but I can read it.
Okay.
Which is a great help. It kind of opens up a whole world in terms of scripture, theology,
Mm-hmm.
writings of the saints, things like that. So, that was a blessing growing up. Our home life was a little bit unique. We were all homeschooled. So I was homeschooled from K through 12. Most of my siblings were, except for my oldest siblings and my youngest.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of us were pretty much homeschooled all the way. My mom and dad felt really called strongly by God and just by their own
Mm-hmm.
situation that, hey, this is something that we can do. It's something that the Lord's inviting us to do, and we're going to give it a shot. And so they did, and it was very much more off the beaten path back then. Homeschooling in the 90s and early 2000s was, especially
Rare.
in St. Louis, I think there were 30 plus Catholic high schools in St. Louis. And so it was very unique.
Mhm.
Nevertheless, they found a lot of other great families that were homeschooling as well. So, here in our parish, I've been reconnecting with some of those old families. So one of them is Tom and Mimi McDonough. Their kids and myself and my siblings, we went to the same homeschool co-op growing up. And then you just kind of reconnect that way. But I loved homeschooling, and
Man, your mom, she's the one that taught you guys?
She did, yeah.
She has to be an amazing person. I give so much props to the parents who homeschool.
Sure, yeah.
That's a real gift.
Yes.
Especially giving it to your kids to be able to do. I am not called to do that.
Yeah, right. It's not for everyone.
It's definitely not. But it takes a lot of, patience, and I think homeschooling is an amazing option. And it is something that's kind of happening more nowadays, I feel like, for families. They're choosing homeschooling. I've heard a lot of families who are choosing homeschooling. So
yeah, sometimes it's as moms and dads, we have to pray and kind of discern along with the other families around them. Like, is this what God's calling us to do? And then it's kind of case by case and season by season. So, every child is different and every season of life is different. And so homeschooling might be right for a certain student or a certain time, or it might not. So, but it's part of, I think, the charism that's given to moms and dads to be able to discern that. So,
yeah. So big family. Yeah. You guys were all strong in your faith, it sounds like.
Yeah, my parents really set a strong example for us. That's
amazing. So what did your faith formation kind of look like from when you were young and then as you grew up?
It looks like the main foundation blocks were Sunday Mass and sometimes daily Mass, because we were blessed to live so close to the parish, and homeschooling. It was a great way just to start the day and just kind of have a good start to the day. We didn't go to Mass every morning, but it was always an option. And then especially when older siblings were driving, it became an option too. Faith formation looked like praying before meals, taking that time to thank God for the food that we were about to receive. And then we also would have a devotional practice of praying like 3 Hail Marys before eating. So we would say the grace and then pray 3 Hail Marys. And my mom and dad, it was really when they did that as like insurance in case we didn't pray the rosary. We would at least have those 3 Hail Marys, because we were not regular with the rosary every night either. But they would try, and on nights when mom and dad were like struggling, I think they would really they would say, hey, we're going to pray the rosary tonight. We really need to,
I find that interesting that they chose it right before you ate, because it's like an extra sacrifice if you're like starving.
Oh yeah.
And you have to like say 3 and you're just staring at the food, and
precisely.
Like extra grace is given that for the sacrifice.
Yeah, I think subordinating our lower appetite to our higher,
good discipline.
It was really good formation. I remember as a little kid, every once in a while we would order Domino's, and the Domino's would be in the box on the table, and like the cocaine smell was coming out of the box. And the Domino's location near our house misspelled our name, and instead of saying Martin, it said Martian, Martian. And it had our address, and I remember just staring at that, praying 3 Hail Marys, and just being like,
like drooling,
in a catatonic, just like drooling. Yeah,
I need that pizza.
And I'm like, why does it say Martian? Why are we eating it?
Let's say these faster.
Right, exactly. And then mom started adding Hail Marys.
Oh, as you got older?
So it ended up being 4 for a long time, and then she tried to add a number 5, and it didn't pan out. The 5 never caught on. But she had specific intentions for each Hail Mary. And it's funny, I'm like, is this how the rosary was invented? Like we keep asking for different intentions for each Hail Mary. So anyway, yeah.
Okay, so you guys sound like a close-knit family, and
were
you pretty close with your siblings?
Yeah, I think so. I am so grateful for my siblings today. I wish I had been nicer to them growing up. And I wish we had like really been more loving as kids, but it is what it is, and God's been really kind in keeping our relationship strong. And like as adults, we have good relationships with each other, and it's just a priceless gift. So Pope John Paul II and others have said like the greatest gift that parents can give their children is a sibling. And I have no idea what my parents sacrificed. I can kind of see a shadow of it looking back, and at the same time, I'm so grateful. I can't imagine life without one of my siblings.
Yeah. Did any of your other siblings join the priesthood or?
No, everyone else is married.
Okay.
The last sibling to get married was my youngest brother, and he got married a week after my ordination, so I got to be the officiant at the wedding and say the mass.
That's amazing.
And that was, life highlight. Yeah.
So you have lots of nieces and nephews, I assume?
Yes. There are 15, and so half are in town, half are out of town. So grateful just for my siblings and their witness.
Awesome. So walk us through how you became a priest. Like, what did that look like? How did you decide that?
Well, as a kid, in a very Catholic family, nevertheless, one challenge I had was being probably too private about my faith. It took me a while to own it for myself and to really, in a concrete, sustained way, live out my baptism and really, and my confirmation and give my life to Jesus. That took time for that faith to mature. As a young child, I was very free and open, and then middle school, high school, college was much more private. There's so many things in our culture, even if you grow up in a good Catholic family, there's so many influences in our culture that say, well, your faith, that's your thing, that's private to you. And sure, it is ultimately so personal to have a relationship with Christ, to speak to him each day, to receive him in the sacraments. Nevertheless, it is something that should animate our entire life. Our relationship with him isn't something that is in a box. So it took me time to become more liberated, I would say, and being a free Christian, just open and bold about this person who I love and who I know is my Lord and my Savior. What that looks like was in college. I would go to mass very often, even throughout the week as a college student.
Where'd you go to college?
At St. Louis University.
Oh, you went to SLU. Okay.
Yeah. So blessing there was just a lot of access to the sacraments and the Jesuit priests being around. And although I didn't have that group of friends, or especially early on in college, that was together being a Christian community. That kind of happened as time went on, and grew closer with individual friends who could support and challenge me, and vice versa. To put God at the center of our lives, And I'm so grateful for those guys and gals that were there, especially my senior year. Senior year is where I kind of realized that being private about my faith, trying to keep my options open, not simply taking steps forward and taking risks for Christ. Avoiding that was actually leaving me very anxious. Trying to explore all these different career paths, and when people would ask me what my plans were, I would have a long list of things. Exhausting and anxiety provoking, I would say. One time, so for example, I was I was interested in starting a company, working on a project with some friends that would turn into a company after graduation. I was exploring internships at different corporations.
What was your major?
math and finance.
Okay.
So I kind of purposely picked majors that were like very broad, and
You could do a lot with them.
because I was like, I just didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I was like, well, I guess I'll just pick some kind of ones that could go different directions, you know?
I wonder how many people graduate with a degree and actually use that degree in their current career field. Like, I wonder.
Yeah.
Because I don't use either one of mine right now.
Sure. Yeah, it's that's a whole conversation in higher education. I will say, like, sometimes we forget the purpose of education is not necessarily like to be a useful person, but to be just a free person. You know, education is about becoming free from the pressures of the world, and to be free to live for God, you know. So, you know, the word education means to lead out, and it comes from like leading out of darkness into light. And so no matter what we study, if through the process of that, we come to desire higher things and become free from wealth, pleasure, power, and honor, and false gods, and free to serve the one true God, then that's a good education, you know? So it's good to have skills too, though. So
well,
you do
absolutely.
need skills.
Yeah, for sure.
But knowing, I think today, skills are all around us, but the freedom that's a little more rare. But yeah, so in college, I just felt pulled in all these different directions, exhausted, anxious, not sure where I wanted to go. And I remember one time I was on this date with someone, and she asked me like, hey, we were seniors in college, and she asked me like, hey, what are your plans for after graduation? And I listed all these things, and I mentioned like the priesthood as one item among many others, you know. And
that one caught her eye, didn't it?
Of course, yeah. Like that was the one thing that she recognized as like, wow, that's pretty rare. Who else is thinking of that? And then to her credit, and I'm so grateful, like she focused on that and asked about it and really showed interest and excitement about, wow, what an amazing thing to be considering. And I wanted to die on the inside. You know, I was very embarrassed and didn't want to talk about that, but also didn't feel like in good conscience I could not talk about it. So that kind of gives you a picture of like, 21-year-old me trying to stay uncommitted, you know. But in fact, right at that moment, all of these Jesuit seminarians who were studying at SLU and were dressed like this, they all walk into the restaurant right then. So it was a
little nudge from the Holy Spirit right
there.
there.
Yeah, right. And so, pretty clear sign that God was knocking on my door, and he was trying to give me the courage to open that door. So yeah, that was my experience in college. And then I eventually applied to the seminary kind of as a way to just to see. I had this thought like, unless I give this a real shot, I'll always wonder whether or not I should have answered the call. And so I turned in my application, and that whole process of learning what was asked of seminarians, what formation in the seminary looked like, what they were looking for in terms of a candidate, that was a real examination of conscience for me, and a moment of conversion. So I was like in my college dorm room, like November of my senior year, and I was reading a document that is basically put out by the Vatican. It's called the Program for Priestly Formation. The Vatican and the U.S. bishops, put this document out as a way. It's not meant for like seminarians or like people applying to the seminary to read so much as it is for like people who run seminaries. Like it's like guidelines. So I was like way over my head, but it was really good. It was great to read this, and it was a wake up call. It's like, actually, no, this is not. The church doesn't need me, so to speak. Like, Christ wants me to give my heart over to Him, to turn away from the world and to trust that where he's calling me is green pastures, is a beautiful and happy future, not something that I have to be afraid of and kind of, keep my cards close to my chest regarding. So the process of applying to the seminary was a conversion moment for me. And so were all my years in the seminary. But after I applied, they asked me to wait 1 year. So the year after I graduated college was a gap year, kind of. And when I received that news, it was very, it was kind of unsurprising, but it was also extremely motivating. And it made me realize, hey, this is something I really want. Like, I didn't know.
Like, you didn't like that you had to wait for it a little bit.
Yeah, it like a small taste of rejection really fired me up.
Yeah, it can. It's like something you don't get, you want it more.
Right, exactly. And you have to be careful that like, zeal to prove yourself can go wrong, but that was where I was at age 22, and God used that for good. And that year became a year where I learned how to pray. I began to be just more free spiritually, in terms of freed from attachments to sin in the world. And I was able to travel, visit different religious communities, because I thought at that time I was really interested in the Society of Jesus. I'd met great Jesuits at SLU, and then the stories of St. Ignatius, St. Francis Xavier, St. Isaac Jogues, Peter Claver, Edmund Campion, like those early Jesuit saints and martyrs, really got me fired up. They just lived heroic lives that inspired me when I was in college. And so I really thought maybe God's calling me to become a Jesuit.
Okay.
In discerning that year, though, and visiting and going on retreats, it became clear that the Lord wanted me to be a parish priest, or at least that's what I felt comfortable starting with, is like, I remember I talked to the Archbishop at that point. I said, well, what should I do? Should I go to the seminary? Should I go to a religious order? He was like, hey, you have a great seminary in your backyard. Start there, just like be open and be at the service of your local bishop and start there. And so I did, and that's where I ended up staying. So, but yeah, that gap year, was really formative. It was the year of mercy, 2015, 2016. And so much spiritual profit that the Lord bestowed on me that year. Got to work for my dad, so I had turned down job offers thinking I was going to the seminary, and then when that got pushed off, I was like, uh-oh, now what am I going to do?
Yeah.
But it turns out my dad, he had his own doctor's clinic, and his office manager retired short notice right around the time I was graduating. And he needed somebody just for a period of months to help him, because he was transitioning from private practice and joining a hospital system.
Okay.
And so he needed somebody for a short period of time. It wasn't a long-term commitment. It was more responsibility than I would have probably had in a entry-level job. And I received income and had flexible hours so that I could travel, pray, go on retreats. I mean, it was like,
perfect.
It was like and I got to work with my dad, who is retired now, so that, that opportunity is past. And working with him was, I took a bunch of business classes. Nothing taught me as much as going to work every day with my dad, about the dignity of work, what it means to be a father and a good provider, taking care of employees, taking care of patients. He had a beautiful portrait of Our Lady of Guadalupe in his office. He gave his employees off on Good Friday every year. It was truly like a family, that he kind of led, his few employees that he had, and was awesome. So in college, it's so easy to get kind of swept away by the get rich quick stuff.
Right.
Young people, it's so easy to be dazzled by kind of the empty show of the world. And a great antidote to that was simply waking up early, getting in the truck with my dad before it was light out, driving to the office, unlocking the door, turning on the computers, like turning on the lights, all this, at 5:30, 6 in the morning. Like that was the best business class I ever took, and it was so precious. It was just like, it was 6 to 8 months really that it was able to be, that it took place. So
it's probably a huge blessing for him to have you available.
Yeah, I don't doubt it.
That quick.
Yeah. In
He
fact, it was
probably
my
cherished
mom
it.
who organized it. Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah?
did cherish it a lot. Yeah, but mom was like, well, Joe needs a job. You need an
You
office
need
manager.
yeah.
He's going with you.
Perfect.
And so, yeah, and I'm grateful for my dad who put a lot of confidence in me, because I remember I was entering in these codes so that insurance companies would, dole out payments that go with these procedures. And if you enter the code in wrong, even by a little bit, you don't get paid. It comes back as an error. And so and there are people who go to school for that,
Yeah.
entering in health codes, like health insurance is incredibly complicated. I was in way over my head.
Yes, it is.
Trying to figure that out. And it's and meanwhile, the person who did that also answered the phones, also did HR, also did accounting. So it was,
Wow.
it was a lot for, so I was on the phone with the previous employee, or the previous lady who had left. I was on the phone with her for an hour a day. A lot of very exciting. It's quite a time to be alive.
Yeah.
But once that was over, it was time to move on, and that's when I entered the seminary that year after college, and a new journey began.
Yeah.
So
what did your parents think when you told them you wanted to become a priest?
they supported it. Yeah, they were. My mom kind of always knew, I think, that my heart was drawn to the priesthood, and so she would kind of give little nudges. My dad was more cautious about encouraging me. He was always supportive, but he would say, no matter what you do, Joe, we're going to support you, and he was all about just, if that's what the Lord's calling you to do, then go forward,
Right.
So the two of them together, didn't push me, but they did encourage me, and I'm so grateful for that. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's a huge, huge gift to your family, I'm sure, too, to have you be the family priest. It's a really cool thing.
It is. As a diocesan priest, you're called to remain close with your family. But once the church ordains a man, he truly is set apart from everyone, really, including my own family. So I'm blessed. I don't feel I've never felt like my family has been trying to claim me as their own, but it is important to have a good, healthy boundary, just like when you get married. A man leaves his father and mother and joins himself to a wife, and the two become one flesh. There's an analogy in the priesthood because really at the rite of ordination, the mass where where deacons are ordained priests or seminarians are ordained deacons, sometimes you sit with your family for the first part of mass, and then after the gospel, the deacon finishes proclaiming the gospel and then calls up the men to be ordained. And they actually leave the pew where they're sitting with their family, and cross into the sanctuary and stand before the bishop. So there's a symbolic removal from the world and from the past life, so that we can be a priest for all. And celibacy goes hand in hand with that as well. To have an undivided heart, to be totally consecrated to God and at the service of the church, and to give up really the best thing in life, which is domestic life and the joy of belonging to another person in a spousal relationship, to witness to the greatest joys that will surpass all joy, all earthly joys, which are what are waiting for us in heaven.
Right.
And so celibacy goes hand in hand with that consecration, that kind of removal from the world, in order to be at the disposal of the church. So.
That's a good point. And a lot of people, I think, at least in today's world, they kind of wonder, why do Catholic priests aren't allowed to get married? It's like they have that question. What would you say to that?
Well, I once heard a priest say, it's kind of blunt, but he said, "Well, do you want to pay me twice as much to do half the work?" Because
that's a good point. It's a lot of work to do both.
Right. So a parish has to support their priest, so that's now they're going to support a priest and a family,
Right.
And braces and food and college maybe, and it's a lot, Priests, so that's a practical reason. The church actually doesn't focus mostly on the practical reasons, though.
Right.
The real reason is what Jesus talks about in Matthew 19. He says that there are some who are called to say no to marriage for the sake of the kingdom of heaven. And he says, let those who can do it. And what he means by that is Jesus invites some men and some women to say no to marriage so that they can say yes to him with an undivided heart. And that is a gift. It's not something you have to do to go to heaven. It's not a commandment. It's a counsel, which is an invitation that invites a free response. So as priests, we don't feel like celibacy is some burden, like, oh, well, if I want to be a priest, well, I guess I can't get married. Like,
right.
I felt that when I was 18 years old, but when I was in the seminary, I became free from that mentality, and I realized, no, this is a invitation from Christ to belong to him, body and soul. And that's what Jesus has with regard to God the Father, and to the church. He gave himself over, body and soul. This is my body given up for you. Like that's also the kind of the fire behind the love of celibacy. And it's the same fire that also preserves the love between husband and wife. This is my body given up for you. Like that's the love of husband and wife, and what then becomes the love for children as well.
And as a female, having the kids, that's another part of giving your body over to them.
Exactly.
This is my body given up for you, as the mom having birth. That's something I didn't even think about until I had kids. Was like when they say that part at Mass, it's like it means something different now. Once you've done something as far as giving your body to another. Right. Was there anybody that you had along the way that kind of was like a mentor or really inspired you as you were becoming a priest?
Yeah, my dad was a big one. I would start with him. He inspired me, and it grows as I look back on his example. He was home every night that I can remember. If he wasn't, then I just don't recall those nights, and what a gift that was. He wanted to, he suffered he suffered a lot, sacrificed a lot in order to have a small doctor's practice privately. It wasn't flashy or probably lucrative as being a part of a big system, and yet he wanted to be able to give his employees off on Good Friday. He wanted to be able to give fair wages. He wanted there to be, he didn't want to have to be called away from his family unless it was absolutely necessary, and so, so embarking on that was a major gift that he gave. And then he just, he would have the car pulled out on Sunday mornings, and he'd be the first one in the car waiting for us all to pile in, to go to mass. So yeah, presence, so present, and then very sacrificial. So couldn't have said yes to a life of sacrifice without that example provided by him. Or, there's lots of father figures though. And it doesn't have to be a blood relationship,
right?
But we all need a father.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you've been at the parish about a year and a half.
Yeah.
Is this your first parish?
First parish as a priest.
As a priest.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
reflect on the year and a half. How do you like it so far at St. Joe's?
It's amazing. Yeah. My first year of priesthood, as I look back on these moments, like I'm realizing how sacred they were, and more grateful for that first year.
Mm-hmm.
The liturgical feasts of that year that I was celebrating for the first time. The encounters that I had with people who were born or who died during that year. The way the parish welcomes me and received me. The gift of like hearing of what priests in the past had provided for the parish, and then to feel kind of in line in a succession, kind of carrying the torch, so to speak. So hearing about Father Mays and Father Westhoff and Father Nord, and so many that came before. I got to live with Monsignor Callahan for the first month, and then Father Fisher moved in. So it's been great to see and learn from Father Fisher about what it's like to, because we kind of were received into the parish together,
mm-hmm.
and we have different roles in some ways, but in other ways the same as priests. And so learning from him and being mentored by him, a lot of times it's just like I'm in the kitchen with my laptop and I'm just kind of firing questions as he's cooking or something.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
I heard he's a good cook.
Excellent. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
No, it's second to none. So yeah. Anyway, but yeah, it's been really special. Incredibly holy first year. And then now that year is past, I am more settled here and just more able to kind of be in a normal rhythm and keep learning about what it means to be a priest.
How do you like working with the sisters?
A lot. Yeah, I love the sisters a lot.
It's
great.
Pretty special that we get to have them here.
Yeah.
I love seeing them around and at Mass on Sundays.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know.
Very special.
I mean, yeah, it's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, we don't take those ladies for granted because they bring a lot to this parish and school.
Yeah.
We're going to get them on here soon.
Okay.
Whether they know it or not. So we're going to do some fun facts about you that we might not know.
Okay.
So your first name is Joseph, right?
Yeah.
Which I think is awesome that you're at St. Joseph.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So what sports did you play growing up, if any?
Well, when I was really little, we were a hockey family.
Okay.
St.
Louis Blues?
Well, yeah. We were big Blues fans, and then we played hockey at a local club. That was until I was like 8. And then as we couldn't be a hockey family anymore,
it's expensive.
Too many kids. Yeah. Too much travel. We would like try a sport for like 5 years, and then just my parents would be like, you know what? We got to step away because our family comes first.
Mm-hmm.
So none of us in our family really excelled at sports. You can't really get to a certain level of athletics, and your siblings also be able to. It becomes pretty difficult.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are some families who do it, but as a big family, my parents had to really be intentional about, okay, this is becoming too much. It's too much to be going to Chicago every weekend for hockey with 7 kids. It's too much for us to be for 3 straight days at a swim meet, and for us to be divided like that. And so when I was 14, like my So when I was 8, we stopped hockey. When I was 14, we stopped swimming.
Mm-hmm.
And I went pretty far with swimming. I had AAA times and was competing in some regional meets in the Midwest.
Is this high school you're talking?
This would have been like 8th grade, 9th grade is when I
Okay.
stopped. So when I was 14, 15, I kind of stopped swimming as seriously. It became more of a summer thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I swam for a rec team in college, which was fun. But hockey, swimming, and then when I was in high school, something I did go pretty deep into was speech and debate. There was a national homeschool speech and debate league that was a great outlet socially, and it just like taught me how to research well, public speak, think quickly on my feet, stuff like that.
Amazing skills to have, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And great friendships from that I still have to this day. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, we would, my parents would like discern, okay, this sport is taking over our lives. We're going to step back. And then God would kind of open up a new window.
Mm-hmm.
And, I didn't swim in college. I didn't swim NCAA in college, but I also, because I kind of stopped in high school, but because of that, I have all the skills that came from switching from swimming to speech and debate,
Mm-hmm.
and God worked through all that, and my parents did the best they could.
So do you do any hobbies now, like pickleball or any of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I try to practice the piano and play tennis and go to the gym regularly, and those are kind of main hobbies. And then I love reading, and I love working outside, doing projects and stuff.
All right. So what would you say your favorite saint is? Or who
Saint
is your
Joseph, my favorite saint, but Our Lady as well, if she's part of the options.
She's definitely part of the options.
Yeah.
The Queen.
12 apostles, especially Peter and John. And then from there, St. Louis, the King of France, Vincent de Paul, Ignatius, Francis Xavier, Peter Claver has been a saint that I've really recently. I just got a book on him and feel a lot of connection with him. So
that's one I haven't heard. What's his name?
His name is Saint Peter Claver. He grew up in Spain, became a Jesuit priest, and then moved to present day Colombia, South America. And he lived on the coast in the Caribbean there. And then as the slave ships would come from Africa, he would minister to the slaves who were getting from off the ship onto the slave market and getting sold off. And he completely gave his life to them. So he's often called the apostle to the slaves. So, yeah.
I'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite movie?
My favorite movie is the original Gladiator.
That's a good one.
Yeah, not Gladiator 2.
Not the second one.
Yep.
And your favorite book?
My favorite book is a little novella called The Lilies of the Field by William Barrett. And it's just like a short novel about this. It's this African-American single guy who finishes his service in World War II, and he buys a station wagon and starts driving across the country. And then he stops for gas, and it turns out that where he stopped is these immigrant German nuns who are trying to build a mission in New Mexico. And then the story goes on from there. So
is that a true story or?
It's fiction. Yeah.
So would you say you're tidy or messy?
Tidy.
Tidy?
Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I feel like your mom was probably really tidy.
Actually,
with 7
my
kids?
Dad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my dad, more so than my mom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wish I was more tidy.
Hey, it's fair.
Maybe it's something my kids can just have innately, and they'll be tidy and not learn from me.
Yeah.
So, what's your favorite holiday?
4th of July.
Oh, okay. I was not gonna guess that.
Yeah.
Why do you like 4th of July so much?
I love the summer. I like cooking outside. Usually, that was a big family reunion for us every year. And I know a lot of people don't like summers in St. Louis, but I actually love that 9,500 degree high humidity summer in St. Louis. I actually like that. So
yeah, give me the heat over the cold. I'll take the summers here way more than the winters. 4th of July is a great holiday. It's like one of those ones that you don't think about when you get asked that question.
Right.
But it's a great one. And just celebrating our country,
Yeah.
It's an amazing country.
It is.
All right, so do you have any hidden talents that we don't know about?
I can slaughter animals.
Really?
Like deer hunting, field dressing a deer and processing a deer.
Mm-hmm.
But we also we had some small farm animals when I was growing up, goats, chickens, and rabbits.
Okay.
My parents were trying to get closer to their food, teach us responsibility, and
I love that.
They just had the opportunity to kind of go for it, and so we did. And so there's some home ec stuff that I know that is kind of a hidden talent. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is definitely a talent I not expect you to say.
Yeah.
But I can appreciate it because my husband's a big hunter, and he got me kind of doing it now.
Yeah.
But he does all the field dress and butchers it,
right,
that kind of thing. He's told me if I kill one, I have to do the field dressing myself. So I have had to do all that.
Yeah.
It makes you appreciate your food more, I think, and respect the animal. And do you do any hunting? Are you a hunter?
Yeah, I don't do as much deer hunting. It's tough as a priest. Deer hunting is kind of a 2-day job, 1 day hunting, 1 day processing the meat.
Right.
And that's if you don't do anything else. To be honest, you probably have to scout. You got to set up a stand. You're going to be kind of watching, ideally have some game cams or something. But at the absolute minimum, you can deer hunt in maybe 2 days.
Yeah.
Maybe 1 day, but it's and then you got to have freezer space, and then you got to cook.
Right.
You got to use that meat up that you harvested. So it's tough as a priest to do that. On the other hand, turkey hunting can be done in a morning. It can be done in 3 hours.
Absolutely.
You call the turkey. It's harder. It's harder to harvest a turkey.
That's easier. So easier said than done to just call them and they're there.
Yeah.
And then
turkeys have extremely good vision. They're fast, they're smart, and they are hard to kill. So
have you gotten any?
Yeah, I have. But I'm 2 for 10 on turkey hunting. So
I mean, that's probably about average.
Right. And that's probably a decent record. So
awesome. Yeah, I just learned to turkey hunt a few years ago with my husband.
Yeah, it's the best.
It is very fun.
The weather's nice. It's usually April. It's the spring is in full bloom sometimes. You hear them from all over the place.
Yeah, it's exciting. I like it a lot. It's become a hobby of mine and a passion that my husband has that we can do together. So
it's awesome. Yeah.
Well, thank you for doing this. This was awesome. And,
my pleasure. Thank you for making it possible.
Oh, absolutely. I enjoyed it. So.